Alors, j'ai dit tout à l'heure dans la
In the closing meeting with David Frost and all of the UK negotiators, I said that the round that we've just had was disappointing, very disappointing. I hope that the next round in June and then the next one in July will be positive, and I hope that that'll show the direction of travel. It's these two rounds ahead of us which will establish the direction, and that direction can either lead us to a failure of the negotiations, no deal, so a disordered economic Brexit, which I hope we don't have, or by the end of October, beginning of November, it could lead us to a deal, so an orderly economic Brexit, which is what I hope for. But we are prepared for all options. But I have to say, I'm not optimistic. I'm still determined, but I'm not optimistic, given the incomprehension on the British side of the conditions for access to our market and their desire, which I think is simply not realistic, to have all of the benefits, all of the advantages of the customs union and the single market without being restricted by the rules which are respected by the member states of the union. So that's why I've invited the UK to change tactic, to change strategy, if they really do want to strike an agreement with us. We won't make an agreement at any price. We will never make an agreement to the detriment of the single market and the customs union and our autonomous decision-making process, because we don't want to sacrifice the future. And in that future, our single market is our big plus point, and we won't sacrifice it for the sake of these negotiations. I remain persuaded that an agreement is possible. We're ready for a no deal. We're going to be stepping up preparation, Katya, not just for the risk of no deal, but also for our side, I don't know what the British are doing, to prepare our stakeholders, our consumers, for the changes which are going to be coming about anyway. To be quite frank, I feel that the consequences of Brexit have been and still are underestimated. And sometimes they're just not taken on board by the UK, the consequences of their own decision. But there are automatic consequences, checks on products at all of the borders of the single market, like checks on the British border. That's a change. And it's inevitable. It's a consequence of Brexit, like the fact that there will no longer be joint certification and so on. Lots of changes. So for the moment, I'm not optimistic, but I remain determined to work to achieve an agreement, but we'll see what its dimensions will be. And now on financial services, well, I think that this has been extremely clear from the outset. We are autonomous, and we will remain so fully in the assessment process which you mentioned, and also the decision to grant equivalence to British financial institutions. That's exactly how we proceeded. You know, as the former Commissioner for the Internal Market, I remember very clearly we proceeded just like this with the United States. We granted equivalence in some cases, and we did the same with Japan. These are equivalency decisions which are taken unilaterally by the two parties, and the UK will do the same with our own financial institutions. And there's no question, nor will there ever be, of there being some form of co-management with the British and with others in this process, which is a European process, granting equivalence for financial institutions to grant or to withdraw. And it's exactly the same for another very important field, the adequacy decisions for data, which are important for our citizens and for the economy. So DG FISMA is working at this very seriously. They are putting questions to the UK authorities and waiting for answers to carry out that assessment. And that's done according to the timetable which was established. You mentioned June. It might be a bit later, I don't know. But in any case, the work will be done over the summer. And only after that will the equivalency decisions be taken as part of the general framework of our relationship.
We only have a short amount of time left, so I'll try to go through the questions as quickly as possible. Joe Barnes, you have the floor.